we made a deal with each other. We said, you know, one night we would watch John and Greg, and they could go out to dinner, and they would do the same for us. Well, no sooner had Barbara and Dave driven out the driveway than John began to wear. And we picked him up and walked and yelling and
Tell him
screaming.
how old he was. Come on, he was 6 months. Yeah, he was 6 months old.
I was 37 and a half.
You remember my story. I remember Dave saying to me that he would put John in the car and drive around a little bit. So I put John in the car, and I headed west, 5 miles, 10 miles. John continued to wail. 15 miles, 20 miles. John still continued to wail. As I was approaching the Cape Cod Canal, I'm dreading the fact that I might have to drive to Springfield before he falls asleep. Well, just before the canal, he falls asleep. I turn around and I drive 25 miles back to the cottage. I pull in the driveway. I shut off the engine. John wakes up and he starts to wail. So I gently picked you up and put you in your crib. I went out and bought a bottle of wine. I think it was 2 bottles of wine. And by the time we finished eating and falling asleep, as many of you know, Barbara has a travel agency. I want to tell these stories too. It's more about me, which is how I can be a brick or atomic scientist at times. Barbara booked a trip to us, coach to San Francisco, and had a good time. We get to the airport, we're checking in, and the man behind the counter says, "You're in business class." And I said, "No, we're not, we're in coach." Which was thanks to you. After all these years, I still remember the hot towels that came around. We made off china and real metal. Of course, nice. 20 years ago, I think it was 20 years ago, Dave decided to have a surprise birthday party for Barbara. And at that point, I think we had only been to the house one time during the daytime. And so Sharon and I drive down, and we got the street right, but we hadn't brought the invitation, so we weren't sure of the number. But there was this house that blazed with light, all these cars parked, so we park, we ring the doorbell, and I can't remember if it was Judy or Dan.
It was Judy.
And we're here for Barb's party, and we're welcomed in, and someone handed us a couple of beers, and we're walking around, and didn't know any of these people, but I figured that's not unusual. You know, Barbara, David, Craig, a lot of my friends.
Go back, go back.
And eventually we realized that Barbara and David weren't there. They were at a birthday party somewhere else, and we were a week early. I think
Frank, when you're done, I want you to meet Gina and Arcady, because I have a story to tell.
You do this to
What
us.
do you do to your friends?
All right,
I want to thank Barbara and Dave, you know, for the many kindnesses, including taking our daughter Sarah in so she could attend Laurelton. You've lived your life with gusto. Your warmth and sense of humor always makes it a pleasure to be with you. There are times when we do not get together very frequently, but when we do as old friends, we pick up the conversation as if it's only been a few moments. Happy birthday, Barbara, and many happy returns. With love and affection, and proud to be your friend.
Oh, thank you. And I will tell you their story later.